Welcome back, everyone. Mike McConville here one more time for StringTechWorkstations. We've got two black Les Pauls in. One's an Epiphone. This is kind of a high-end Epiphone too. And this is Jonathan's 1970 Les Paul Custom. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of make a comparison between these two. And we'll start at the truss rod. It's interesting that both of these Les Pauls, the load on the truss rod was 0. That's just loose. Truss rod works fine, but they never put any load on it. We level that fingerboard. We want to make sure we have a little bit of load on that truss rod. The Epiphone has the plastic pearloid. Now Gibson used this too. It's real mother of pearl in the Les Paul Custom. Because the pearloid is plastic and much softer, obviously, than real mother of pearl, I take the time to mask all of these soft plastic inlays off. And we're only doing a fret dress on this one, but the plastic scratch is much easier than the pearl. So it was really the top end that needed the attention. I've already leveled and recrowned. Now we're just scrubbing those crowns back to center, getting rid of the tooling marks of the file with the 320 grit, and then we'll move up from there. With the 600 grit, I'm now kind of making my way up the neck. There's our second piece of 600 grit. So when I do this, the scrub block has this sort of foam padded vinyl under there, and it flexes and distorts over those crowns, so you're not lowering the frets here, we're just scrubbing the crowns back to center. This is our 1200 grit. Now onto the buffer. And this is our finished fret dress. With the EMG pickups, we just unplugged it, pulled it out of the way. We're just about to put it back in. Boy, that was easy. Now that we're on to the compensated nuts for both of these Les Pauls, we can reassemble all the hardware. Pick guards, bridges, and we'll walk you through the compensated nut process. Now these are a 12 to 60 string, tuned down to A sharp. There have been times with the thicker strings where I needed to actually drill out the post, but 60 seems to fit on this one, so we're good. I know that most of you guys that have your TechDecks have figured this out by now, but I thought I would at least mention it anyway. So I was working on this guitar yesterday, so I already have that sort of hoop on the bottom end to kind of hold the guitar in place. I don't have to adjust anything. It's almost like his and hers memory seats, you know, in a car. I'm ready to go. That's how quick I set up. So it was just a matter of setting the instrument on here. The neck support, body support is already in place. So I just wanted to mention about these straps. The smallest strap that you get out of the 3 body straps is designed to be that short because it allows you to cinch down a Les Paul at the waist, and the strings are all free to vibrate as you do your final setup. And that's exactly what we're doing right now, is final calibration. And with Jonathan's Les Paul Custom, same deal. It's already been set up. We also have that thinner Les Paul body strap that allows us to cinch the guitar down without muting the strings as we go through the calibration process. But before I put that truss rod cover back on, I had promised to show you the truss rod. I haven't delivered. So before I put that truss rod cover on, I wanted to show you the difference. We started the video out and I'd mentioned we would start at the truss rods. This is a two-way truss rod, and in the case of this guitar, it's a distinct advantage. You know, with the A sharp tuning, it's like right in the basement. Even these 12 to 60 strings are still very loose. You can see this compensated nut is a completely different animal. This actually required 3.55 millimeters of overhang to get this guitar to behave. Now we're going to go to the tuner and I'll show you, but before we do that, let's have a look at that custom. Snug down that nut for the pot so that it stops shifting when you turn it up. I'll just check them all while I'm at it. So what I do is I put a straight slot screwdriver, turn it down to 0, and then that stops it from, oh yeah, that was loose. Stops it from rotating when I go to tighten it up. This one, oh yeah, that's definitely loose. Okay, so again, I basically turn the pot down to 0, and that gives me the resistance I need as I snug that down, and that prevents the whole thing from rotating as I gently snug that down. Well, we've checked 3, we may as well get that last one. Same deal, counterclockwise. Don't over tighten. Well, that one's actually pretty snug. Good. Now I have to get into the back of these pots to spray them. Bring it up to chest level, and then that allows me to actually be able to turn the pot. And there's a little bit of grindy sounding. Good, that's better. That's all it needed. Check the other pickup. Good. And tone pot. Good. And the other tone pot. That pretty well does it. Okay, here we go. So 6 string, this is A sharp or B flat, whatever you want to call it. Well, it was a real challenge getting this short scale guitar with the big thick strings tuned way down to A sharp or B flat. The compensated nut shelf ended up being almost 4 millimeters to be able to compensate. Most people that play in these tunings with these strings tend to go for the longer scale guitars, the 26.5 inch or 27 inch. It was an extra challenge getting this one to line up. foam mutes in here as well. 5th string. String. Second string. And the 1st string. We'll slip that pick guard back on, and we'll bring them both into the studio and check them out. That same string would be a lot more taut with a longer scale length. But we got it working. You just got to be careful with the right hand attack. It does play in tune, as you saw with the tuner. I should get one of my local customers, Death Toll Joel. He would know what to do with this thing. I'm sure you'd have this thing ripping there, Joel. It's tuned down to A sharp. He says A sharp or B flat, whatever you want to call it. It's in the basement. Okay, so I laid down a vamp on that Les Paul. Okay, you get the idea. I'll have to get Steve to send over a recording now that this thing's stabilized.